What's good, guys? How y'all doing today? It's the new legal man, represent Di-RRec Gaming. Shout outs to the whole Xbox Live community. Shout outs to the Mixer team. Shout outs to the Twitter team. Shout outs to the Facebook team, the Instagram team, and Di-RRecGaming.com. To everybody who puts in work in Di-RRec Gaming, thank you so much for the support. Today I want to talk about many subjects and many topics. There's a lot of stuff been going on. And man, it's a lot that to cover. It's just a lot to cover. And whatever I come up with is just gonna come off the top of my head. So this show right here may just be random. It may be random as heck, but I'm gonna do my best. But hey, I have the best audience. I'm not even gonna be worried about it. You guys know I speak from the bottom. I represent us, and it's not gonna stop. I enjoy gaming, and this is what I do. Yes, I am an Xbox fan. I'm getting tired of people asking me that. I'm an Xbox fan. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't, look, there's nothing wrong with you being a fan of whatever you like. But I'm an Xbox fan. So, we're hearing more and more about the next generation consoles coming out. The old news is the fact that the XSX is going to be more powerful. That's old news. We got that. So, the adversaries will say that, Xbox has no games, and if that's so true, why is everybody tripping? Because the XXS won't have games either. I mean, who cares about all the beauty if you don't have games? Well, the thing is with that kind of talk is, so they're telling us that if the XSX has games, so now it's going to be vindicated. I mean, they're going to go out and buy it and support it and pay their hard-earned money for it and allow it to become the Godzilla that it's always going to become, or what are they talking about? Because the thing is this, people, you got to understand that times have changed. This is old news, that times have changed, and that these companies are moving more and more towards their services. The reason being is because they can reach more gamers that way. And look, today we get the news that the Xbox Elite 2.0 is the 4th fastest selling item in America, 5th all overall in gaming. I mean, a controller, people. And then you get people to mock that. But what they don't understand is that's awesome hustling. You can make fun of Xbox selling selling not peripherals, but selling accessories more than their games. You can throw jabs at that all day, but the realization is the fact that they're making more profit off that controller than they are off of console sales. See, once people start to realize that these console sales do not generate profit for these companies, they'll stop talking about it. But it's like they're trapped. They're trapped in this emotional whirlwind with their console that, a lot of the haters for Xbox, I don't think they would be satisfied if Xbox just simply outsold their console. They don't know that, hey man, if you like a console, just play it. Despite if it's the most popular console in the world, if you like it, just play it. Who cares? That's what gaming is all about. Who cares? Play your game. Because, man, there's some people that won't ever buy a PlayStation, and it's not the fact that they just don't like it. It's just, maybe they don't like the controller. They just don't like a square controller. It's not ergonomic. So they don't have to feel like they need to buy a PlayStation simply because you think it's popular and it's what everybody else is buying. Nobody is dumb because they buy a certain thing. That's not what makes you dumb, okay?
There's some guys buying this
because gaming is so broad and it's so wide for everybody that there's no such thing as a person being dumb because they don't buy the same console you buy. Now that cloud gaming is coming in the forefront, we've already touched on the VR. VR is niche still, but VR it's not like VR won't make an impact. VR is still niche. It's not something that's big on the investment, but that doesn't mean VR won't evolve either. Doesn't mean that. It just means that, hey, some certain companies are putting more faith into it and some aren't. The ones that are no better than the ones that aren't. They're just all trying to get a stronghold on what they want to invest and make profits for their company. So each company moves in different directions. And right now, Microsoft's Xbox brand is looking the strongest. More and more we're finding out that the Xbox Series X is going to be a Leviathan, a Godzilla. We still don't know all the aspects to it, but the more and more we keep hearing about these leaks, this thing is looking like it's fixing to become, it's going to put consoles back on the map in a way that some of these guys in this generation don't even understand. Because console gaming is what brought gaming to the forefront. The PC community did great by doing what they had to do to put their money into it and grow it. You know, there was room for them. So nobody makes fun of the PC community because they grew. You know, there's gamers. We're like people on this earth, right? You got the PC community is a race. You got the consoles that are a race. You got the mobile players that are a race. You know, and the bottom line is that we're all people. We're all people, and we all enjoy the platforms that we play these games on. Despite all the silly stuff that may go wrong, that's just for the fun of it. You can't take that stuff seriously and lose your mind into that and start calling people all kind of names and stuff like that, because then that's when you look stupid in the end. You got to know how to throw your jabs, bob and weave, get in the center of the ring, and have fun with this stuff. You know, Xbox, there's nothing wrong with Xbox taking their L this year as far as console sales, because that ain't hurting Microsoft. It still sold close to 70 million consoles. That's not a small number. Does Microsoft wish they could have sold more? Of course. Any company wants to be super successful, but it's not like the Xbox One brand was unsuccessful. That's almost 70 million people. When did that become a small number? You know, PlayStation sold over 100 million consoles. That's awesome. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at the money aspect on things and you look at the services and what people do, the Xbox community thrives off of multiplayer, and multiplayer is where the money is at, because that's where people invest in the add-ons, and you know, that's where people invest in the extra controllers, and that's when the community gets started. The people want to get live because they want to play with their friends. You know, Xbox was the one that did cross-play for console and console. I remember people used to knock that down. Well, PlayStation did it. It was for, you know, but it was for console and PC. And look, that was good, but it was to benefit Sony just being on Sony. It never really was about engagement with everybody. Sony doesn't operate like that. They just don't. They were against console and console harmony. They was against that. They was against EA access. They was against that. Anytime anybody is trying to expand the gaming community, they was against that. That's just facts. That's not knocking them down or anything like that. That's just facts. And that's what people don't like those facts. They don't like hearing about facts. They just want stuff to just, you know, be the way they want it to be. But when you're known for being anti-consumer, you know, when you're known for being anti-community with other communities, then you have to bite that. You can't come out of that just because now the reason why Sony now is going along with it is simply because they don't want to be left behind. You know, there's a difference in saying, yeah, you know what? I like what this is doing. You know, I like what this is doing. I know what this is about, and I want to see the betterment of gaming. That wasn't what Sony did. Sony flexed, and then they blew their air up. They blew their mattress up with air, and then it got popped. And so as it deflated, then they came to realize, well, you know what? No one's buying it. And they even kind of angered their crowd a little bit. No one's buying into this, and so they bowed back down. the PlayStation 5 is looking more and more suspect by the day. And I don't know if Sony investing in the Azure cloud is, I don't know what they're going to do with that, because now there's leaks saying that it may not even be what we think they're using it for. I personally thought it might have been used for cross plays, but now I'm thinking it might be, and I thought then it might be used for back compatibility. But I still, and I might be right, but then again, I might be wrong. You know, I've never listened. The thing about the PlayStation 5 right now in the Sony community is that Sony isn't a quiet company. They like to boast, they like to brag, they like to talk a lot. So we know that there's something wrong, because Sony is being quiet, and they never been this quiet before. I mean, they haven't showed their base anything.
I'm here.
And since 2017. Late 2017 was the last time they actually showed their audience anything really major. Now it's just like there's no shows all around. They missed E3 twice. And you know, you get those people that want to speculate and talk about E3 being dead. E3's not dead, people. Listen, I understand that there's people out here that think simply because Sony sold the most consoles this generation that they're the ones that are dictating the next steps. You're completely wrong. That's not how it works. The success of companies go quarterly. So they got 4 times a year to show increase. 4 times a year. That's how it works. It's not like, you know, and then they assess it from year to year. It's not like if it gives them 4 times to, you know, clear up things. So let's say if they start out weak. But then they have another quarter that where they might be able to start out strong. And if they start out strong in that quarter, then it makes up for the one that was weak. And so the goal is to stay strong throughout the year, throughout the quarters, so that they finish out the year strongly. The PlayStation 5 is looking very, very suspect now. It's for Sony to be so quiet on it. I don't think that the technology now is going to be the same. I really don't. The pricing of this thing, it looks like the curse of the PlayStation 3. I've used to say this all the time. One thing that Sony don't want to do is repeat that curse. But if you've ever followed the track history of Sony and you understand how they operate, they have a track record of whenever new technology comes out, they struggle with that. Because you can't have new technology, right, and then make it for cheap parts. You have to come out with it. You have to reach in your pocket and come out with it. You cannot, you know, say, well, I'm gonna go cheap on these new technological parts. It just doesn't work like that. And that's at a disadvantage to Sony, because that was the same thing that happened to the PS3. The PS3 struggled because it was in a time where new technology was arising. And anytime new technology is arising, Sony struggles. PlayStation 4 was a breeze for them because the materials that they took to create it and the things that they took to modify the PlayStation 4 was already here and had been on the market. It wasn't like new technology. But I said that. Wait for the next generation to come. It looks like Microsoft knew what they wanted to do. They didn't want to invest strongly into this old technology. They wanted to wait and let the technology world come to them. They're a software tech, and so they wait. They actually co-engineer and coexist with some of these technological companies. They have to, because they're a software company. I mean, Microsoft has their iOS into their businesses and things like that. So they invest in these companies as well. You know, it's not like they just simply ignore these companies. They have their hands with them as well. And they lean for these companies to be successful so that their products sell. So it's like a cornucopia of success. You don't really want to wish anything bad on companies, but bad practices, you know, are a company's own fault situation, so to speak. You know, when you practicing bad practices for your company, then you can't blame other companies for your downfalls. You can't get mad because nobody wants to buy into your product. You know, you want to be customer friendly. You want to do everything you can for your customers. And so, I mean, you look at PSN. You know, it's not a very well welcoming, customer friendly service. It never has been. And when you look at all of this stuff that could happen to you on PSN, you know, you're not going to get compensated. It just is what it is. So, I mean, Microsoft has an uphill battle within itself. I believe that Microsoft's worst enemy was just itself. It's always has been, all the way back to the ring of death. I mean, if Xbox didn't die then, it's not going to die. And that's just bad news for all the people out there that just think that Microsoft and the Xbox brand is just going to fall off somewhere. The Xbox brand ain't going to succeed. It's going to succeed. It's its worst enemy. I mean, Nintendo and Sony is not going to make Xbox fall off the map. They're not that powerful to do that. They're just not. The best thing to happen for Nintendo and Sony is for Xbox to not be successful to itself. Because if Xbox, like Blackie said, if Microsoft puts their money into Xbox, there's no competing with it. Because Microsoft is going to make sure that the Xbox shines. And when Phil Spencer took over, that's kind of like what happened. Phil Spencer had to gain the respect, even within the company. Now, you don't hear nothing like that from Nintendo and Sony. You don't hear stories like that. But the reason why Phil is getting more and more respect in the gaming industry, one, because he was a game creator himself. He plays games. He's a gamer. But two, he's been around and he had to earn his respect along the way. So people will listen to him because Phil Spencer has good company practices. And when he took over, he wanted to teach us first. He didn't want to just come out with it. He wanted to teach us first. And the good thing about teaching us first was the fact that, listen, we know that, you know, these console wars has been out for a long time, but understand this. We're no longer going to put the number of consoles out there. It wasn't just because they were getting beat. It's because Phil Spencer saw the future and he braced us for it. I want my fans to stop talking about this, to know that soon it ain't even going to matter anymore. And when we started to not worry about that, and we started to worry about engagement, we started seeing that Microsoft Microsoft Xbox brands, what services were being successful. We learned that, hey man, this is what gaming is all about. And now you start to see more and more services come out. The cloud is here. The cloud is the future. The cloud is the future. And it's already been spoken about with Sony that, you know, hey, the cloud can pose a true threat to them. They live off the hardware side. But it doesn't mean that Sony isn't versatile. It doesn't mean that Sony can't use the cloud. It just means that that's where their bread and butter came from. Sony still makes TVs. They still into the phone industry and stuff like that. They still into the movies. They're still into the insurances. It's not like they're just dead broke. But you have to be careful. Even when you got a lot of money, you got to be knowing how to invest and make great decisions. Microsoft's gaming lineup with their new acquisition with studios is looking real great. I mean, we got 2020 is just going to be a beautiful year. E3 is not dead. You see all those gaming developers and gaming companies that are going to be at E3 this year. E3 is for the people. It's saying thank you to their customers, to the consumers, right? It's a fan appreciation moment. People have to understand that. It's the company's right to do that. They do that for the fans. And it's a good thing because gaming has always been out there in the streets. Since the days of the arcades, people enjoy community. And for E3 to still be here as healthy as it is, that's good stuff. People can come in and mingle and meet each other. You know, YouTubers, mixer people that stream and broadcast. You know, they meet each other, and in times where they probably would never meet each other. So E3 is just bigger than just games. It's community. It's a friendship. You meet friends, and there's nothing wrong with it. I would never understand why anybody wouldn't want anything in the gaming industry, as far as community aspect, to not succeed. So long live E3. Xbox Series X It's looking more and more promising. It's looking more and more about what it said it was going to be. The PlayStation 5 is looking more and more like it's not going to be what people think it is. And sad enough to say that, you know, for a console to get as ridiculed as much as the Xbox brand, for it to just turn around like it's doing, no longer will it be, you know, talked about as being an inferior console. Them games are coming, and I think that's just fear for the haters of Xbox. And regardless of where these games go, you know, that's what true hustling is. They don't care where these games go as long as you buy them. And when you buy them, you're investing into that brand. That's all it can be, is that you're investing into that brand. And you learn that stuff when you're in a business. You know, you start to pick away at stuff that don't matter anymore, and you start to lean on things that do matter. So that's why the console wars are starting to slowly fade away, because it's not mattering anymore. It's not that it can't be done, it's just not mattering anymore. It's juvenile. So now it's going to be about whose services succeed, who's able to keep their services running, and keep you know, an engagement on their games and see how long they play. And Game Pass right now is king. There's nothing else to say about it. Everything that Microsoft is doing right now with the Xbox brand is just beautiful. So, you know, hey, Sony had a last year run. Their last year in 2019 was great. They finished off strong. You know, of course, the consoles numbers are going to be going down. We're coming to an end of an era. But, you know, hey, they beat out everybody in console sales. They're doing their thing. Sony's coming out with 2 good games that they think that they're going to finish pushing up to 2020. And that's The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, they got some stuff for their fans. It's not like they're out dry. But, you know, Microsoft, I just think, has a better steamroll going in. And they need something like the Xbox Series X this time. Their lineups are going to look more better, in my opinion. Their acquisitions are stronger. And we're just going to have to sit back, still, and wait and see what happens. Because until Microsoft says anything, we don't know. Guarantee. So keep your eyes to the streets and ears to the walls, people. This has been the New Legal, representing Di-RRec Gaming. And you guys have a good one. And until next time, I'll see you guys soon.